Welcome to Yerba Talks.
Welcome to the Aftershow. I am Max. This is Cap. And today we had a debate between the one, the only, the man, the legend, Issa, Apostate Prophet, and Jvnior. I'm sorry, but the way that name is spelled, that's how my brain registers. Jvnior. And what's the other guy's name? Julian, who barely spoke. Welcome, guys. How you doing? Shabbat shalom to Dan and Issa.
Shalom, man. How you doing?
Video. What's up?
Doing fantastic. That was fun. That was crazy for a while. Yes. Dr. J, we have, and I love it when we have the team all together. That is just amazing. All righty. People, before we going to get you the link, and before we get into it, make sure to do the social thing is like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this to your significant other, go to the corner, yes, the corner of your street, and just subscribe to Yerba Talks, and that way we can share the love for the channel. All right, we have the link. Let's spin it, and we'll be off to the races. My first question for Issa is what I like to ask the debaters. Do you feel that you accomplished what you set out to do with your opening?
I actually have 3 presentations that I wanted to do, and I had worked hard to stick it in 8 minutes. But the thing is, I said, you know what? AP had asked for some more time, so I said I'll sacrifice it. I still have one more presentation. Maybe I'll show it here if folks want to see it, but yeah.
Oh yeah, we can definitely. I was very impressed with your presentation skills. Me and Tay, we were looking during your opening, and we were discussing it. That it's super clear. Like you can tell that you've done countless presentations forever. But yeah, so do you feel you accomplished that with what you managed to get out? That you accomplished your purpose, what you set out to do?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think, first of all, I established history. I think that was important. And then I basically got to what I think the problem is with Hamas, and I think pretty much, yeah, I went through the history. I talked about one of the things that I think is really important is a real juncture is what's called the War of Independence or the Nakba. And I think this is a really important thing that needs to be engaged. So on one side, there's this argument that basically Palestinian people were just forced out and expulsed out of the land, and the narrative is a lot more complex than that. And I think that was one of the goals that I was seeking to showcase before that, because that's usually the argument. Hamas is this resistance organization. And we didn't really go into that part, but Hamas is this resistance organization, and Hamas's goal is to basically do resistance for the Palestinian people because the Palestinian people were unjustly treated. And I think the position that I was trying to show is that this narrative is a lot more complex, and there's another side to this story. And I think I did well with that. So, yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. Dan, thoughts on... oh, wait. I fumbled. The Muslim started. So let's do the openings for the Muslim side. Or the Hamas side, actually. No.
What do I think about them?
Yes. What did you think about their openings?
I thought when I first saw Issa go on camera, I was like, "Oh, Issa's wearing a tallit. I'm gonna get my tallit and watch him with him." The tallit is like a Jewish garb thing. So, but then I heard their opening, and one of the things that I found very disturbing is the lack of any cursory. Just like, let me Google that first. Right, you would have had to have Googled the information about the Egyptians calling the land Palestine or Palestine for 5,000 years ago, and would have had to have found that's not true. And
right.
you would have had to make a conscious decision to say the truth is covered up. This is a conspiracy, and have just either ignored it, made up your own mind, or have found some like random like corner of the internet that's like therealtruth.com flat earth edition or something.
Not sure if you've heard of Twitter, but
So, and I was just very shocked about that. Very, very shocked. And moving on from there, it just became more and more and more and more conspiratorial.
Yep. It was. My opinion is that Jvnior has no clue how to debate, like absolutely no clue. And I don't know why I guess he has a big audience. That's why he gets invited. But as far as debating skills go, very lacking. You could learn a few things by coming here and talking with us, Jvnior. We could help you. Dr. J, thoughts on the Hamas side openings?
Yeah, I would say with the Hamas opening, I was kind of surprised. They seemed to take a little bit of the Hamas are good guys and approach, because I would have thought they would have taken an approach that would have been more like Hamas isn't good, but Israel's worse. And I was kind of surprised of their sort of full-throated, defending of Hamas. I can't remember how much that came out in the openings, but it certainly came more and more apparent as they went on. And I was also would say the information that Jvnior was providing, and when he's what he was saying in his opening, I was like, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound right. And of course, I'm not particularly an expert, so I guess I can't particularly say he was wrong, but it did sound pretty sus. And then by the end, when he was like 80% of Israel's GDP is, American gifting, I'm like, well, I'm just not sure I trust this guy's numbers super good about anything. So it's hard when you listen to a presentation and you're just pretty sure the numbers aren't right. How much can you get out of it? It's difficult. I would say on the positive side, it seemed like it wasn't just, I don't have anything, let's just start. It did seem like they kind of had some kind of something prepared, not as well as Issa, but they did, at least set an opening.
Mm-hmm. And Issa, what about you? What were your thoughts on their openings?
So they had they logically worked together. I'm trying to find the best positive approach on this. They had a united presentation. I think it touched on some points of the history, which was, I think, good. I think you need to know the history. You can't really start with talking about this conversation without looking at the history. I think that's one of the things that we'll discuss later on in our openings. It definitely was an emotional argument, which I think is one of the strongest positions for this case, is the emotional argument. The argument basically goes like this. My people are suffering, they're dying, and this evil group caused my pain and trauma and suffering. That's a very compelling position, and it's very persuasive. That's why a lot of people are buying that narrative. A lot of people are persuaded by this narrative, and it's been very successful because it's this idea that there's this extreme trauma and there's a lot of pain and suffering, and this disproportionate power is causing this pain. And I think that is the argument that they're ultimately trying to portray in this position. I do think that Jvnior was in the opening was a bit honest about that. That he's like, yes, these people are from Muslim Brotherhood. They're not great overall, but it's better than Israel. That's the point. Israel is the great offender. There's more that I wanted to talk about Israel, and I want to talk about nation states. I got to talk a little bit about that, but I want to talk more about that. But I think that overall, in conveying their argument, I think Jvnior had the stronger position. I think Julian, I don't really think that Julian knew that presentation. I think Julian may have had a different presentation, and he was kind of reading the script off of the presentation. And I think that hurt their argument, because I don't think Julian was really prepared to piggyback off of Jvnior. And I think that was the difficulty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me looking it from the outside, and I do see what you're saying, that, this is mostly an emotional appeal, sort of. But That being said, appealing to an emotion is not a rational. Like, there's a reason why it's kind of a fallacy to appeal to emotions, right? But I had the problem looking it from the outside. It's like, okay, we got their opening, we got a set of facts, and then when you guys started your openings, I was like, but wait, I'm getting different facts from a historical point of view. And of course, I know who I lean towards believing, mostly because we have a report. I know that you're thorough with your research and so on. But I did get that, like, oh, I'm getting two very different stories of the preamble to this conflict. And I think that could be where a lot of the crux of the issue might be in how history gets told, usually by the victors and so on. So yeah, it was like a weird start for me. All right, I already asked you about your opening, so let's go to Dan. The other side opening, AP and Issa.
So yeah, I think that I felt the same way you did when their opening first began, where it was like, oh, this is completely two different sets of facts. And what you said, there was history is written by the victors. What's interesting is throughout history, Jews were never the victors, not even once, up until 1948. And when you look at that history, it's Jews who lived in that land. It wasn't Palestinians. It was Muslims who wrote about their conquering of the Jews. These Muslims who went ahead and built their holiest sites where Jews' holiest sites were. So it was literally not written by the Jews, and yet that history still supports generally the Israeli position. But I thought they did a good job. I thought Issa speed ran a bit through his slide at the beginning, and I wished you spoke about it more because you presented a really factual history, and I thought that would have helped you and Apostate Prophet's opening to be a little less disjointed if you just slowed it down maybe a little bit. But overall, I mean, you guys presented facts that I know are verified, so of course I agree with you guys.
Balsabub says Issa brought a uni-level presentation to a kindergarten. Dr. J, thoughts on the Israel side?
Yeah, I thought, Issa did a great job. He's prepared. The history thing is interesting. I think anytime I get in this argument, I just feel like it's just a pick a date argument. Which date's the date? You know what I mean? Because if you just pick a date for the Americas, just go back far enough and none of us should be here. Pretty much, none of us should be here. Just about, very few. South America, Central America, North America. Pick the right date. None of us are legit. So the pick the date thing seems tiny bit arbitrary to me. So I do know it always gets into the history. I thought Issa covered it well. Maybe I'm just expressing personal annoyance with this debate about how it always goes back to the pick a date thing. But Issa was prepared. Apostate Prophet, obviously, it's his whole gig arguing this kind of thing, so he seemed to be prepared as well. I would have liked to have heard more of Issa's. He was really prepared. So anyway, I thought it was good. So how much to cover in the history is kind of an interesting question, but seems like they did okay. And I accidentally hit a wrong button. Sorry about that. That was absolutely.
Sorry, I thought I was crashing.
100% me. 100% me. There's a button there that you don't want to push. Apparently, that is not the maximize the screen button. That is some kind of take everyone off. So
yeah.
Sorry about that.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. J. Robin, welcome. Hello.
Hello. I was freaking out, and Dr. J done it. Wow. That was actually better than I thought it was gonna be. It still gets pretty dirty, like the mud they sling. But I thought ECU did great. And of course AP is arguing this constantly. Like him and David Wood have been, in fact, most of what I know about this conflict I learned by watching David Wood and AP. and then I went back and like checked what I learned from them. And so I tend to agree with most of the arguments that they make.
Thank you so much. All right, before we get into the open
Do
discussion,
you mind if I comment on AP's position? Because I talked about me, but I didn't talk about his.
Go ahead, of course.
I did want to, like what Don was saying, I actually wanted to go longer, but AP asked for some more time, so I said that's fine. I was planning to go deeper into my points, but I was like, that's fine. We only had like 8 minutes apiece, which if I really wanted like 15 minutes, honestly, for each person to have 15 minutes, because I think the openings are more crucial, I think, than even like the back and forth, because you can really establish the case. I think 8 minutes was way too little, in my opinion. So I wish I had more time, but I was like, it's cool. AP's my partner. He needs this. I'll let him have that. That's cool. But I was able to get through the whole presentation, even despite being kind of rushed to do it. Because you saw it was like 30 slides, and I went through it in like 7 minutes, or 5 or 6 minutes. I think AP reinforced what I was doing. So I think we actually were more successful than our opponents, because even though they had the same presentation, both AP and I focused on the history. We said, let's look at the history. Let's look at the facts of this situation. What was looked at in their presentation was very selective facts. There were certain points that were discussed, not completely, and I think that that's a problem. It's a lot more complex and a lot more nuanced. And the thing I was going to bring up deeper into the presentation, I'll show my other part of the presentation later, is that if we discuss nation states, for example, and you want to hold Israel into this position for dealing with Tufan al-Aqsa, the al-Aqsa flooding, well, then you would have to condemn America for bombing Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Pretty much every nation state responds this way. If you have an invasion into your country and you have, a certain amount of casualties, the reprisal is usually a lot more casualties. It's not genocide, it's war. It's a very different situation, and we see it all the time. It is a normal thing that you see with nation states. So I find it really bizarre to say, well, in this situation, it's genocide, but when these other countries do it, it's just, a country defending itself. Why is Israel held to a different standard than these other countries are held to? That's something that I would have wanted to unpack more, but we didn't get to that direction. But I think that there is an asymmetrical judgment, and I tried to engage that a little bit later on. But I think AP did very well in engaging the points. I liked his AI presentation because it is important. This idea of saying, well, it's Palestine. And I said this in my presentation too, these were age of empires moving into the nation state. Why are we accepting certain modern nation state projects like Syria, particularly Jordan? Why is Jordan a legitimate nation state and Israel is not? No one is questioning Jordan's legitimacy. You never hear the questioning of that. Jordan is born out of this partition plan as well. That's an important question that is critical to this conversation. But it's not Syria as a country that was born. Egypt is a country that is born. Most of these countries were just under empires. Why are they legitimate and Israel's not legitimate? That's the critical question that I think has to be asked.
I was going to say there is one part of this argument, and I think Jvnior was the one that gave me, Jvnior and some of the people in the side chat, that when Jvnior was showing the differences in armament between the two sides, right? And it does feel, to my simpleton, I really don't care about this topic at all, to my simpleton brain, it's like, oh, I have a squirt gun, and then I punch you in the face, and you come with your M4, and then it's like, I'm the victim, I'm being victimized. And it's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have attacked the guy with the rifle, kind of, right? So it is this not like
asymmetry.
Thank you so much. That's the word. It's an asymmetrical conflict. And Yes.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I see it the same way, to almost an extreme. It's like, yeah, why would you ever start a fight here? You know, it will. You know, you should not be starting a fight. You're gonna get smashed. I don't get it. I just don't comprendo.
And you put your
And
own people in danger. You jeopardize your own people. And I bring that up, and I brought that up a lot. I said, Hamas is a failure to its own people. That's the question here. If you're saying who's wrong, Israel serves its people. Hamas is a disservice to its own people and puts its own people into jeopardy. And you never hear them make that case. There are resistance. Okay, what do they do for their people? What has Hamas done for the world? What has it done for its own people? Absolutely nothing. It's done nothing for its people. It's put its people in danger, and it's put its people in jeopardy.
I think in your second presentation, when you were bringing up concrete examples of the difference in the government styles between Hamas and Israel, I think that was a very strong argument, because the differences are abysmal, right? And they had no. One thing that I noticed is that a lot of the points that you brought up, Issa, they had no answer. Whenever you spoke, they started flailing. All right.
It was Junior said I spoke falsehood. Do you remember that? He said,
Yeah.
when I, especially the second one, because it was kind of very damning, where I was like, what about mental health? I said, Israel takes care of its people. Mental health. I was just there in Israel. I was on a birthright trip. Yeah, I'm sure they would not like that, but I was on the birthright volunteer trip. And I got to go to all the places where I saw all this stuff. They do recycling. 80% of recycling water happens in Israel, and that's not in any other place. America pales in comparison in recycling, technology development. There's so much stuff going on. It's not that Israel's just taking a bunch of money from America, and that's the only way it's surviving. Yes, there's a lot of poverty in Israel, too. That is also true. It's the Middle East. There is poverty, but there's a lot of success. And it was just so bizarre that he basically said, well, what you're saying is just not true. And I was like, yeah. And he said, like, look, IDF soldiers are committing suicide. I'm like, okay, let's grant that. Let's steelman that argument. How does that have? How do you know that's from Gaza? Maybe it's just from the trauma of October 7th. That could be a causal situation. If there is a high percentage of suicide rates, it could be that there's a lot of trauma from October 7th and other types of traumas. You have to link that the IDF's trauma is linked to Gaza. You'd have to prove that case. I don't think that case was proven.
Did we believe those numbers? I completely dismissed those. I have no idea if that is true.
So
I'm just saying, if we grant it, we're steelmanning it. We're granting that that's true. I don't believe it's true, but if it were true, that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
Please go ahead, Don. I'm sorry.
Which exact numbers? Did I
The
miss
80,
something?
the massive suicides going on by.
Oh no! So 300. So about 300 Israeli soldiers have committed suicide. But I think the evil part when he brought that up was he's saying people who commit suicide are people who can't deal with the actions of what they've done, instead of not recognizing that PTSD is a serious thing, and PTSD is something that happens to people who fight wars, right? Not to people who are murderous psychos. And what he's doing there is basically saying that any soldier, whether they're American, whether they're British, whether they're Canadian, whether they're any other nation who goes to fight in war and experiences horrible things like their friends being shot, landmines going off, drones exploding over their head, who've been through October 7th, end up killing themselves, that is somehow because they've done something horrible. That's an insane thing to say. That is a really awful human thing to say.
And he said there was none on the other side. How would
he can't know that? I mean, but I thought that was hysterical because Hamas has suicide bombers.
Yeah,
they literally go and blow themselves up. To say that there's no suicide on the Hamas side is literally to ignore the fact that Hamas has suicide bombers.
And then we also have there is this very high internal shame, I would say, within. I'm going to say Hamas, within the Hamas community, of that even if a soldier couldn't take the stress and so on and did take his own life, they wouldn't advertise it. Israel is just a little more upfront when it comes to the numbers of these things. And I think
Yeah, of course.
that's where the difference would lie, and I don't see that as a big problem.
I consume a lot of Israeli media, and one of the biggest things people talk about, whether it's from military radio, the Channel 12, Channel 14, they talk about mental health, getting counseling for soldiers, making sure that soldiers, get cured for their PTSD so they can support their families. The main thing the Israeli parliament is talking about is about money being spent and funds being spent for veterans of this conflict. It's a community that cares about its soldiers. That's all we're seeing.
Yep.
So for him to say there's zero suicides, dude, you're talking about a community that does not care for its wars. It's willing to let them die. That's the point. They're martyrs.
All right. This will kick us off into. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm going to say one other thing that I was going to add.
Yeah, no problem.
So Islam kept being brought up, and I there were a few tiffs on that. We can talk about that too, because Jvnior has a very classical modernist position on Islam. It's not really a classical position on Islam. So here's an argument that I hear. They say, well, we have martyrdom. That's not how classical Islam works. You don't know if you're going to heaven or hell. That's just that it's unknown. So you don't know if you're a shaheed. So you can claim you are. That in classical Islam, only God knows if you're going to heaven and hell. And that's everybody. Even the Prophet of Islam, you don't know if you're going to heaven or hell. So it's so bizarre that you have people say, I am a shaheed. My baby's a shaheed. I'm like, it doesn't work that way. That's not how Islam, you might want it to work that way. That's not how classical Islam works. It's the same way of saying the Torah is corrupted. Classical Islam does not defend that position. This is a bid'ah. Bid'ah means innovation. This is an innovation that is being created because it suits this postmodern kind of version of Islam. And
right.
I didn't want to go deep into that. We have a little, we'll talk about that later, but that was a part of the open discussion. Sorry.
Yes, it almost went, and I saw AP was like, Islamic dilemma, let's go.
Because that is what it is. It is that. Yeah. But I said, I'm going to honor this debate. But you notice that I'm like, I pushed that button. And I knew the answer to the button because it always is that. I'm like, but you can't argue corruption of the Torah. Because, and I said it is an Islamic text. If you're a Muslim, you have to believe in Torah. You can't just claim it's corrupted. I wrote a whole paper on this. If that were true, why can we find a stela from 3,000 years ago? We can find manuscripts from thousands of years ago. How could God's divine holy word disappear from humanity? That's denying science. It's denying archaeology. It's utterly ridiculous. It's utterly preposterous.
It contradicts, and I think the most egregious one is that it even contradicts other verses of the Quran that says that nothing can change the word of Allah.
That's correct.
So it's like,
you can't.
Okay.
You can't deny the Torah. And also, what is problematic about the Torah? There's nothing that problematic for a Muslim. It says, some bad things. I'm like, read the Hadith, dude. The Hadith are like makes all the people in the Hebrew scriptures look like Boy Scouts. They look like Eagle Scouts. It's not even a comparison. I mean, the type of stuff that you read in the Hadith about people being butchered and killed, it's not pleasant. So and then he tried to insult the Talmud. Oh my God, we can go into that. I'm like, have you read the Hadith? Like, don't insult the Talmud and say, oh, Jesus is buried in excrement. No Jewish person even takes that position. And you don't even know if the Jesus that's mentioned there is even Jesus from the New Testament. You would have to prove that case. That case was not proven. It was just an argument. I was like, I have to be patient. I was like, Usa. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this is rough. You noticed I was very, very patient, So, yeah.
All right. This will kick us into, before we go into the open discussion, I have something special for the middle section today. Torah is the word 7 says, Issa is so based. What the hell? He is. He's the best. But today, I didn't compile the dumbest comments of the debate. Today, I did a little bit different, and I compiled messages of love for Issa. So here we go. Give me just a second. And then I got some other weird stuff in the middle. It's going to be amazing. To the 12 here. Perfect. Sorry. There we go. This one was funny. That was the first one. Then I changed the plan. Jvnior an agent to destroy Islam. Manuel, this guy spent the whole debate spamming this thing. Jesus is not God. He was a powerful sorcerer. Okay. Wesley Coleman Music said Issa is based for sure. Issa is totally based by NYC Tom. Issa smirking. I caught that, and I couldn't let it go. I saw they were talking, and you were just there smiling, like. NYC Tom says, "Let Issa speak, or we riot." Then another one, classic moment. I don't remember what they said. But
well, I'll tell you one thing that I saw. Julian said, "Can I do the Roman salute?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
I think that was the one. Yes.
I was like, "This is unacceptable." There was a lot of moments like that. I'm like, "For real? Like, you think that's okay to do that?" And he's like, "Yes, it's good to kill because we're doing it for righteousness." I was like, okay, I think we need mental health institutions. We need to institute mental health institutions for some people. I'm sorry.
Specs had a great idea. That's a new members emoji. We'll make that happen. Yes, it's a little bit blurry. I need to see if I can get a better quality, but yeah, that would be great. Of course, there's like I lost my like Jvnior. What the hell are you doing? This is not a serious person.
No.
Truth Hurts 22222 says, Issa, we love you. Cloak Jvnior is captain of Cope Central Station right now. I agree. And then there was a moment where Jvnior shared this. And I'm sorry. I'm not the one to go into this type of conspiracy, but I think Jvnior is Daddy Yankee, the reggaeton singer. Tell me he isn't. Like, he looks just like him. Same hairline and everything.
I believe it now.
Right?
So,
Jonathan, love Issa. This guy losing his mind about Jvnior calling AP Apus or something. And then James replied, "We don't do censorship here. Go back to your safe space." Issa, the voice of reason, fretting myself silly. Issa, sponsored by Gatorade, confirmed. Win Issa. Issa is the only one bringing actual points, said you're Mr. Dirty. Pablo sent this super chat, and he started getting, responses of people completely crashing out. Study some sociology before you say dumb statements like this again. How do you know religion and anti-science will be the downfall of humanity? You can justify knowledge without Jesus. Without religion, morality doesn't exist, meaning I can do all sorts of evil things. Laws can stop me from doing things, but I'll raise to a point where I can change the law to my will to abuse others. Issa win, Issa. And of course, Big League Drew, completely obsessed with me, asking me if I have OnlyFans. I'm not into you, Drew. You're dumb and you're religious, so
So
disqualified.
who is this person? I saw this person mention talk a lot. Who is this person? Do you know them?
He's a dummy, came on to an after show puffing his chest, got absolutely destroyed, and he's still butthurt about that.
He supported Hamas. He put two, like when they put two, I was like, and he did it over and over again. I was like, you're supporting a terrorist organization and like a really corrupt, dysfunctional, evil government. Like, it's like hard for me. I'm like, what's good about Hamas? Like, I don't even know what's good about Hamas. I can't tell you something that's good. Everything that Hamas has done, it just reeks. It's done nothing for its own people. It's bad at resistance too. It sucks at resistance. So I'm like, what does it do that's good?
David says, but do you though? Now, not yet. If things go downhill anymore, maybe. But for now, we're still good.
Max, why didn't you share my love for Issa?
Cause I didn't grab it. I think that was the last one. Yeah, Drew's image was the last one I took. I'm so sorry. I missed it. All right. So before we go into the open discussion, I was going to do something else, but I forgot. So we're just going to go into the open discussion. Let's start with you, Issa. How was that for you?
Well, it was primarily between Jvnior and AP. I was like, I will, because I was like, I want to be respectful of the format. I'm only going to interject when it's needed, and I feel the points that I brought, I thought about them, and I think that they were critically inserted, and they worked very well for my cohesion with AP. I was like, I'm not just going to talk for the sake of talking. I'm going to bring out points that are necessary to this conversation. Like, for example, how if Hamas are valid resistance fighters, and they're good, noble people, why would they do Tufan al-Aqsa? Why would they do the Al-Aqsa flood? The goal of what Hamas wanted to do, it's so crazy, but their idea was they wanted to liberate Al-Aqsa, right? They said terrible things were happening at Al-Aqsa, and I'm like, you do realize that it's overseen by Jordan. Yes, the Israeli military there is there to defend what Jordan is doing there. Jordan is regulating who's coming in, and Israel is supporting that. Now, when Israel did go into was engaging with Al-Aqsa is when there was terrorist activity that was happening there. So this is a technique that terrorists do. They go into holy sites. You know? And that's a part of their kind of tactic, because they do. You see this throughout everything. Like in Vietnam War, the Viet Cong attacked on the Tet, which was a holy day. You know, October 7th happened on a Jewish holy day. You know that, right? Yep. It was on purpose. It was intentional. The Yom Kippur War happened on a Jewish holy day. These people are attacking on holy days that are important to Jews. Even secular Jews who don't really, aren't very religious, they may do these types of activities too, because it's important for the cultural community, right? These people are intentionally attacking on holy days. They will use holy centers as sanctuaries to do their terrorism. It's very hard. It's hard to fight terrorists, because they don't follow the rules. They don't follow things that are sacred to people. They will not follow this. And this makes things very difficult. So what Hamas was claiming was that there were certain incidences that the IDF was engaged. I saw Al-Aqsa when I was in Jerusalem. I saw what was there. It was regulated. They had the Jordanian Waqf. They had the IDF soldiers that were protecting it. They were not letting Jewish people go in. You know that, right? Jews are not allowed to go to Al-Aqsa. And that's supposed to be the holiest site for Jewish people. It's tragic, Jewish people are not allowed to go to their holiest site. And then they're gaslit, and they're told, your holiest site isn't here. My site is here. Your site's not there. That's so nasty. That's so mean. You're like, I get to have Mecca. I get to have Medina. I get to have Al-Aqsa. What do you get to have? A broken Western Wall. That's what you get to have. And, the tombs of the patriarch and the matriarch and stuff like that. It's
matriarch is, again, they argue that it's Palestinian territory. Fully.
But you get what I mean. It's like, This is a tragic thing. And AP was bringing that up. And I'm like, I wish Jvnior could have that kind of compassion, that he could understand Jewish compassion, like what Jewish people are going through, the sacrifices Jewish people are making to have a multicultural, excuse my voice, multicultural space. And one point I wanted to bring up too is, you see this talit? I got this from a Muslim vendor. I bought this from a Muslim vendor. I got this.
What does it mean? Vendor. What does it mean?
It's like a prayer cloth. When you go to pray, you wear this cloth.
Okay.
It has fringes. See?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I just didn't know what the
shawl. It's a prayer shawl.
A prayer shawl. Okay.
Yeah, I wore it on purpose. I wore it on purpose because I'm like, I'm making a statement here. And I have my white and blue, No,
I got that. I just didn't know the specific details on that. I missed this. Specs for $2 Australian says, "Yo, did Jvnior call his wife this time?" No, I was hoping, with fingers crossed, that Junior would call one of his friends and tell him like, "Hey, are you a terrorist?" And no, it didn't happen. But yeah, that would have been that. I would still be laughing on the floor if that would have happened. All right, Dan. Thoughts on the open discussion portion of the debate? I'll be right back. I need to go to the toilet.
True. I think Issa pretty much covered it pretty well, but if there's one thing that I would add is, again, it's very difficult to like, how did you even speak to someone who the entire time simply exists on another wavelength and just tries to preach at you? I find that to have been a very weak performance by him, where he doesn't actually attempt to answer questions. Didn't seem like he cared about things that were brought up. It's just he repeats himself, Junior at least, and just preaches at the audience or at you by saying that's false and brings some other information. Issa?
Yeah, that's I feel you. I think it is a very difficult situation where you can see one side, but you don't necessarily see the other side of this situation. I think that's why we have this kind of epic conflict, is that we're not seeing the whole picture. And I feel the public media has done a really, really bad job in being fair and honest in this situation. Like, you see, like, all the Hollywood celebrities are like, we're for Gaza. And I'm like, that's beautiful. You should be for human beings. You should be for Gazans. But that doesn't mean you should be for anti-Israel. Like, it's always this dynamic. Like, I think about Gal Gadot and what's her name? Rachel Zegler. And they were on this movie, Snow White.
Yeah.
And basically, she just, like, attacked. Gal Gadot is like a sweetheart, okay? Gal Gadot has not said anything bad about Palestinians ever. She's never said one bad thing about Palestinians. The only thing she says is, I care about my people in Israel. What's wrong about that? What's wrong for her to say that? What makes her bad for saying that? That she cares about her own people? Can you imagine if a Pakistani person says, I love Pakistan? I wanted to talk about Pakistan and Somaliland and Somalia. Those are things I really wanted to get into, but I'm like, we don't have bandwidth for this. But I was like, when we think about Pakistan, it's my favorite country to talk about. Pakistan is apartheid. Israel's not apartheid. Pakistan's apartheid. If you're an Ismaili, you're a Christian, you're an Ahmadiyya, you are not treated the same as like a Sunni Muslim. It is an ethno-religious apartheid. And there might not be that same thing with religion on the books now, but there is religious apartheid. Pakistan is a religious apartheid. You are not treated the same if you're a Christian. And are there any Jews in Pakistan? Maybe one or two, probably none. Can you imagine how they would be treated? Absolutely terrible. Pakistanis hate Jews and they've never met Jews. They don't know anything about Jews. They're like, we love Palestine. I'm like, you know what? You should love the little boys in northern Pakistan because they're being abused and being assaulted. You should love dogs. Tens of thousands of dogs are being murdered in Pakistan. You should care about Kashmir, that they want independence, but you want to take their independence away from them. You should care about the Baluchi people who want to secede. You won't let them secede and you kill them. Think about all this stuff. The Ahmadiyya aren't even considered Muslim. They can't even go and make Hajj. I said, this is crazy, man. And a Pakistani is sitting in the UN and telling us about the relations about of Israel and their egregious things. I said, Pakistan, look at your egregious qualities. You've done so many horrible. And look at Bangladesh. Why does Bangladesh exist? Because in 1971, Pakistan invaded Bangladesh and killed hundreds of thousands of people to millions. That's insane. That's insane. And basically, they get away with it. Oh, it's, like Nas Daily said, it's the soft bigotry of low expectations, that I'm poor, I'm brown, I'm suffering, I can do whatever I want. No, you're equally held accountable. You want to hold Israel accountable, you need to be held accountable. So that's what I would say.
Yeah. Let me get a couple of messages and we'll send it over to Robin. Proby says that sometimes he can't remember what religion you are, Issa. Would you like to answer?
What religion I am. So I come from a mixed background for people who know me. I am very so I would say I'm like a mystic. I fit in this spiritual mystical place. I'm also very skeptical too. I have different hats, but I have been very connected to like the Jewish community. It's very important in my life. It's a very important space. So I go to Israel every year and do volunteer work. This is my third year in a row going. Um, I like Sufi Islam. I like mystical Islam. I don't really like a lot of the standard stuff. I'm not a big fan, as you if you saw in the debate, you can probably tell about that. I'm not into
Mhm.
72 virgins. I don't. I think that's pretty disgusting and gross.
Oh
Uh,
my.
yeah, no, I think it's really bad. I think it's a horrible objectification of women, and I think it makes you not really a good person that you are seeking to have lots of women, and you're not actually caring about real relationships and connecting and being a human being. It's like very, I don't want to say lustful. It's a very like, it's a dehumanizing position. I'm not interested in endless wine. I'm not interested in like that perpetual narrative that doesn't persuade me. I'm not persuaded by a lot of those things. Like if
Mhm.
like Shahid, that does not persuade me at all. That I will die as a Shahid. Yeah, that's all that stuff is BS to me. So yeah.
And David said, "Happy to see Dr. J again. Long time."
Yeah,
All right.
appreciate Max's patience. I was traveling around. Matter of fact, I think in this particular place I'm staying, it periodically has power outages, like
Oh boy.
very like blinks, and my computer went dead, and then my devices didn't want to connect. So I'll be at a different house in a week or so. So hopefully it'll have consistent power.
All right. Well, given that you're unmuted, do you want to give us your thoughts on the open discussion?
Yeah. So I was probably annoyed a little bit like everybody else when Issa would ask a question, it just got completely dodged, right? They wouldn't answer, and then AP would respond to the non-answer, and then it was over, right? I just felt
Mm-hmm.
like Issa came up with a few interesting things I would have loved to hear them talk about, and they did not ever go into it. Um, I think I mentioned this a little bit about the openings. I was a little surprised at sort of the full-throated Hamas cheering. Seemed like maybe some of that was trolling. I really, you really can't. I couldn't tell. It seemed like they thought that was the case, but maybe they aren't as they weren't really cheering. So, I thought the open discussion eventually showed their true colors as far as they basically don't want Israel to exist. Their plan for Israel is they don't there is no plan. They don't care. Israel can't be a country, and what do they get to do after that? I am not sure they've thought one iota about that of what's going to happen to Israel. Um, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
AP is sharp. He's on his game. He knows every argument inside out and sideways. It doesn't seem like he heard anything that he hadn't heard a bunch of times before. So he did a good job. But I think even if Issa was there by himself without AP, they would have just not engaged with Issa at all anyway. So I'm not sure AP being there or not had much to do with it. I think they were just gonna dip and dodge no matter what. So I'm not really putting much on AP as far as
No, and it always happens that someone has usually more control of the debate and speaks more. Like it happens to me a lot that I take when we've been on Discord debating with a bunch of people and so on. I kind of sometimes people take charge of the conversation. It happens, but I think it was great that Issa. Every time Issa spoke, they fumbled and flailed very hard. I remember what I was going to say, and I'll hand it over to Robin after this. Junior showed a slide of that said that the current leader of Iran, which is right now in extreme turmoil, is older than Israel. But I thought that it was a very disconnected thing for me to do, to bring up the leader of a country which right now is in heavy protest, people dying, there's no internet, women are lighting their veils on fire on the street and so on. that was just a weird thing. And the other thing was the whole tangent they did about Argentina. I get access to Argentinian news. I read Spanish, so on. He lied. He flat out lied. The protests that happened were not in Argentina. They were in Chile. But the official position of Argentina has not. It's that it's a hoax. It was just people on the internet saying that, oh yeah, it's the Jews lighting the fires, and it's just false. So just wanted to throw my 2 cents on there with that, because I can get I get the best info.
He claimed he broke the news. What did that was that supposed to mean? Like, he's sitting over in some other country breaking the news of who started the fires. I couldn't even fathom how he thought he was gonna. Did I misunderstand? I'm like,
no, he said that.
Yeah, I was just like, how could we even fathom that you have it in your head that you could break the news of something that happened in another country? I was scratching my head on that one.
Yeah. Robin, thoughts on the open discussion?
Yeah, I've got several here. Like when y'all were talking about Hamas, well, I don't understand. Like, why are they? I don't understand why they were debating supporting Hamas anyway. Like, I can understand supporting the Gazan people. I don't understand being on the side of Hamas. I don't understand that. I don't think that Hamas is good for the people of Gaza. I mean, like, when they went over there, like you said, and punched Israel in the face on October 7th, they went and hid under hospitals and schools and knew that there was going to be retaliatory action. So, like, just the fact that they would even do that and then go hide in those places where the civilians were just shows that they really were not doing anything for those people. I mean, I placed a lot of the blame of anybody that died in this war on them. I mean, and, on this, because they, like you said, they went in there and punched somebody in the face and committed heinous crimes, actually, against civilians. And so, like, I hate that so many children have died in this situation, but I don't know really what people expected to happen after what Hamas did, and then went and hid in the situation like they did and refused to. I mean, they put their own people in jeopardy. And I thought it was interesting that the Muslims were trying to divide the Christians and the Jewish people by claiming that Jews spit on Christians in Israel and stuff. And I thought that was really strange. I don't know why it's like they're using fake propaganda. And then he was a Holocaust denier. I mean, So
the cherry on top, yes.
So out of touch. I mean, like, it's hard to even take somebody serious when they start stuff like that right there. I mean, like, even if you could try to understand their points, when they start going off on Holocaust denial and saying that, the Jews spit on Christians in Israel, it's just propaganda. It's just rhetoric and propaganda, and it's you can't take anybody serious anymore. But and AP though, I will say that AP spent a lot of time trolling Muslims, like him and David Wood. They make a whole life out of that, and so I can see why that probably there's a lot of people show up to like troll on AP when he comes in that debate, because.
Lawful Good X says, love you, Issa. Thank you so much. What else did they bring? Oh, well, of course, the pictures of the. I mean, goes back to the thing that we said. The Jvnior's whole thing was a giant appeal to emotion. Like, my family is killed, and showing the backs of corpses and the children and so on. It's all just a gigantic appeal to emotion. It does, to me, like, for example, that I do care about the human aspect. I don't like that there's people dying, but I mean, it's people that it's a war, and I honestly don't have any connection to the Jewish community or to the Muslim community or to the Hamas. Even when I was raised, I've said this many times, by a very communist mother, and I was always taught that sometimes you do have to fight. So there is in my head this sympathy for the freedom fighter, and we've discussed this before. That what is someone's freedom fighter? Sometimes it's another terrorist, right? Another group's terrorist. But I don't feel that this is like, for example, when the communists took a city here in Montevideo because they were fighting against the oppression of the system and blah blah blah. I don't get that feeling. So even when I do have a soft spot for the revolutionaries, Hamas doesn't really inspire that in me. And of course, I've tapered down a lot. I'm like, my mom has called me a capitalist pig more than once. Yes.
Yeah, but like freedom fighters though, like, you know, let's say like the Americans Revolution and stuff like that, they attacked the military. You know, like they didn't attack civilians like what Hamas did on October 7th. They went after just civilians.
And one thing I would say about, you know, if I'm going to be critical and once again pump Issa's ego here, I do like Issa's approach of, Issa does try to be nice, you know, like in general, and I do appreciate that. And AP, I'm sure he's frustrated. I'm sure he's done a lot of arguing, but as Robin, you know, pointed out already, I don't like the sometimes hardcore trolling that he does. Sometimes it's not just, you know, I sometimes it's a little too much. And I guess it's what's your goal, right? Is your goal to kind of make fun of and, you know, have a good laugh? Then it's probably a fine way to do it. But obviously you're not going to convince anybody of anything, and maybe he doesn't care about that. But I like Issa's approach, of course, and we've probably talked about that many times before.
Yeah, well, AP, you know, with him being a former Muslim and then, you know, atheist and now a Christian. But like, yeah, but him and David Wood, they eat pages of Qurans and on just like, they do. That's but and I actually like watching them though. I kind of find a lot of humor in them, but they do like pick a fight with people.
Well, I like Junior's response actually to that. That Junior did not react to that. I think he gets.
I was going to say that at least he did one thing, which was condemn, not like who was it? Comedy. No, Comedy Central was the nickname. Central Dawa. Right? Remember when Central Dawa literally threatened him? No, said that his blood is halal.
Your blood is halal. That's literally what he said. And it was with no charisma, no charm. I was like, my gosh. And he got banned from DebateCon from it. I was like,
he got banned.
The Dawa, like David Wood and AP have trolled the Dawa guys a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like,
and
honestly,
don't get me wrong. As a resident troll, I do understand it, because when you know someone gets triggered, that impulse of, like, for example, I have a ticket here of something I bought, right? If this was holy to you, and you would get pissed if I did this, the impulse to do it would be a lot. It would be a lot.
And it is.
Hey! It's holy for me when you smile.
It is AP's like form of religion too. So he, you know, like he's bashing, like, you know, like, you know, I bash on. Well, I try not to be prejudiced. I try to bash on all of them, but I probably bash on Christianity more because it's like right here around me, and that's what I was. But
hold on, give me 1 second. Let me address this. The last person that came here and asked me to blaspheme rage quit when I indulge. So, I mean, you do not want to like
Wait,
ask me to
I
do
didn't
stuff
see
like
it.
that.
I didn't see it. Shoot, give me a little peek window into the.
Okay, do you know who Ben Thorpe is?
Oh God.
No.
Yes.
Is that the
Okay,
dad?
the
Yes.
dad, yes. So there was an we did a debate. There was an after show. He came on, and he started talking about, and then we got to like I said something like Jesus was a fraud or something like that, and he was
Okay.
like, "Oh, the next thing is that you're going to blaspheme Mother Mary," and I was like, "Oh, I mean, would you like me to?" And yeah, and then I said the thing, what the
She's a
story of the
slut.
Talmud, yeah, and of course I gave it a bunch of color. I said Mary was a whore. She had sex with this soldier Pantera and then lied to everyone, and he got so pissed and rage quit. And I made him and his daughter rage quit at the same time with the same sentence. I
What
was
was it?
ecstatic.
What was it Christopher Hitchens used to say? Which is more likely that a Jewish girl,
Gained an immaculate conception or
But-
lied about having sex.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Christopher Hitchens used to have a little funny saying about that right there.
Mm-hmm. What else? What else did we have? Well, I mean, Julian. Who is Julian? Where did we get Julian from?
I don't know. He looked like a vampire.
He agreed to defend Hamas.
Right, right.
It's very hard. It's a very small pool of people who openly. He said, "I will do." You know, he was more hardcore than Jvnior. You know, he's like, "Yeah, we'll do a Roman salute." Like, I heard Jvnior. There's a part of Jvnior that I really like. It's funny. Like, there's a kindred spirit. There's some points that I do not agree with at all. But I'm like, there is some chemistry like in our engagement. You know, but like, I understand the Palestinian narrative. I understand it's different. It's a different narrative, and and we have to understand that in healing and creating solutions, we have to understand that narrative and trying to bring peace. But what Julian was bringing was like, he's like, I'm down with the terrorism. He's like, dude, let the blood rain. And I was like, whoa, dude. Like, it was far scarier than anything. Like, for Jvnior, he's like, look, it's my people are struggling. I'm suffering. But Julian was like, yeah, let the bodies hit the floor. These people are so bad, let the bodies hit the floor. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I covered my mouth multiple times. You know?
I messaged Issa during the show. I was like, this is sad. I'm getting some developmentally disabled type of vibes here.
Yeah.
So
if that's true, that is too bad.
No, there was a moment where he was, I don't know, he didn't, I couldn't finish that circle with him. There was a moment that he was like laughing, like, yeah, Hamas are based. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, even if you ask me to say, oh, was the communist revolution good? But I would say, like, yeah, maybe it was something necessary. It's tragic that it had to be done in the context of fighting or expropriating the bourgeoisie, whatever. Like, I wouldn't just advocate for the violence. That is just wild.
yeah.
No, it's just, I honestly don't get it. Let's surrender monkey. Let's not do stuff like that, please. Let's keep it civil.
I wanted to respond to what Surrendered Monkey had said before. Surrendered Monkey had mentioned about Pakistan.
I got you. Yeah, I'll find it. Go ahead. I'll find
So the point was, he was saying that, or they, I don't know what the gender is. I'll say they were saying that that they live in a largely Pakistani community in the UK, and I'm like, that's cool. I didn't say Pakistani community, Pakistani diaspora. I'm talking about Pakistan, the country.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I did not address Pakistani diaspora. So what's wrong about what I said? I don't think this person is qualified. I'm South Asian, by the way, South Asian Jewish, right? So I can talk about South Asian people because I know about the culture. I know about the community. I know it very, very well. And I don't think there's going to be someone who knows more about it, like, from this audience. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude, but I know this stuff very well. I know what Pakistan did. I know what's going on in Bangladesh. I know what's going on in India, Nepal, Sri Lanka. I know what's going on in these regions. And there's problems. In Bangladesh, they traffic 1 million women a year. No one talks about it. Radio silence. This is the thing that bothers me. And the most angry people at Israel are the South Asian Muslims. And they have no right to talk. That's my position. They have no right to talk about Israel. You have the problem, trafficking 1 million women in Bangladesh. You have all the abuses in Pakistan. You need to fix your own problems before you talk about Israel. Israel's doing a way better job than you're doing. So please, that's what I have to say. Thank you, Surrender Monkey. I appreciate that. That's just, I think the South Asian countries need to fix their problems before they come to Israel. Their minority problems, terrible. You know, that's all I have to say, you know.
Yeah. Yosef Israel says, arrogant Christians, but yet don't even understand one word of the real Hebrew scriptures.
Yeah,
Yosef, are we talking corruption? What are we talking? Because, I mean, the understandings are pretty much the same, and we have very good translations of all of the scriptures right now. So I don't understand the point.
Well, it's like certain things, like if we're looking at through like a rabbinic Jewish lens versus like, you know, like the Messianic Christian lens, right? The thing is, there's certain interpretations of the text that may not actually be literally in the text, right? But they're promoted onto the text. Like, for example, when it talks about like the prophecies of Isaiah, right? And they say, well, this is prophesying Christ. To a rabbinic, for a person who's coming from a rabbinic Jewish situation, like it's not saying that in the text. You're projecting that into the text, you know. And I think that is a critique that a lot of Jewish people say. You're like, you're projecting all of your stuff into our text that's not there, you know.
Yeah,
I think that's the critique that I would say. Like, I think that they're saying, you know.
And just to have you know, I did take Hebrew, so I have read the Old Testament in Hebrew. How good is my Hebrew right at this moment? Not so good. Not so good. But yes, I absolutely took Hebrew in seminary. And usually what you learn is the more you learn Hebrew and read the Old Testament or Greek and the New Testament, you go, these translations are so good, done by people that are absolutely so good at doing them. Me doing my own is not actually that particularly helpful because I'm a lot worse than the person who did the original one. So.
Yeah, in general, those are done by like PhDs in linguistics, that kind of a thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think they have like some big disagreements over the usage of the word like alma, which means in Ezekiel, Isaiah. Christians sometimes the Septuagint has translations where it means virgin, but in Hebrew text it means young woman. Right? It'd be certain things like that, or then it would be certain things like why do Jews reject Jesus? Well, the answer is, well, did Jesus fulfill the prophecy of the Messiah? And Christians will say, no, he has to come back. And then Jews would go, okay, so he's not the Messiah.
Yeah, right.
That would be like, there'd be things like that.
Yeah, there's many aspects which and you can also do those criticisms to a Christian as an atheist. But yeah, now I get the point.
Yeah, that was the point that Don is elucidating the point that I was making. I'm like, and I'm not saying that the one person's right or wrong. I'm just trying to showcase, you know, the Jewish audience member what their position is.
Right.
Yeah.
Then I'm sorry if I mispronounce this. Please no, it's not my fault. I don't know Hebrew. Yosef says if you don't have the oral traditions, then you only have the footnotes, and you don't know what you're looking at. Period.
That would be an Orthodox Jewish interpretation, but there has been many different sects of Judaism that disagree. The Karaites disagreed. Karaites still do to this day. Those who still are around.
The Sadducees would disagree too if they were around. The Sadducees would disagree as well.
Some people disagree, but modern Judaism as a whole doesn't.
Well, it's from rabbinic Judaism.
Didn't biblical Hebrew need to be reconstructed, and the modern interpretation is likely somewhat flawed? Asked Dragon Sword.
No, because the Septuagint is an old translation, and those two forms of text tend to synergize and like correspond to one spoken language, along with Talmudic Hebrew and different Hebrew written throughout the generations, going all the way into Yiddish, Ladino, and Hebrew Arabic. The Hebrew aspects of those languages still correspond to Old Testament understanding. So
Mhm.
we know exactly what those words mean.
I did hear actually someone say that ancient Hebrew is a completely different language than like modern Hebrew. I was like, that makes very little sense.
No,
Uh,
it'd be more like English and Shakespeare.
English and Shake. That's what I was thinking. More like it's just the normal progression of languages. And
Yeah, it'd be more like English and Shakespeare, like modern
yeah.
English and Shakespearean English.
I would like to
Uh,
say, hey, Max, I would just like to say one thing.
yeah.
If this God exists, that is the God that is shared among these three religions, I think it was very bad planning on his part to provide us with only these translatable books that say contradictory things.
Mm. I've made the argument before that I am just a human, but I have 30 years of studying English under my belt. So I could, with average effort, create a text that translates perfectly from Spanish to English or from English to Spanish. And I can start in either language and create even a text that you can translate and translate back. And I am just a human. So to me, that is a very strong argument that none of these books are
You're a pretty
divine.
special human, though, Max.
Oh,
I would agree with you. I don't think any of the books are divine. I think they were
yeah,
written.
that
They were political documents of a people's like 3,000 years ago society with their laws, mythology, things like that.
yeah. But let's leave filthy atheism aside for
Oh, okay,
today.
okay,
For
okay,
today, for today,
okay.
just today. It's okay. What else did they bring?
Oh yeah, I
I
forgot. I'm convinced of Islam now because I heard them talk about it today.
oh yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
If you
wait,
have a
what?
brain and you read the book, he said. Isn't that what he said? If you have a brain and you read the book,
He has an IQ of 167.
One, yeah, yeah.
I think that's
Wait,
somebody was
are
putting Issa's IQ in there too.
did you watch Dan Junior's debate on?
Issa sent me a video of it a few weeks back, and I just thought to myself, "This is really pathetic." That's just all I thought.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there was one. His first debate. I was watching it live. I paid the membership, watching it live because we did a mega after show at the end. But first opening of his first debate, it was about how Islam treats women and so on. So he's giving his opening horrible, like a little. Today was worse, I think, but horrible opening. And he's like, Muslims treat women perfectly. So he grabs his phone and calls his wife. And he's like, hey, do I treat you badly? No. He's like, okay, I love you, baby. I'll call you later. It's like, what the fuck? I've seen people sing for an opening. I've seen people not give an opening at all, just say the earth is flat and then go into the debate. We've seen a bunch of stuff, but never have I ever seen anyone call someone else like it was a show. It's like, do I have a lifeline? Dude, he's so bad. He's so bad.
I think that he's getting confused when people say Muslims don't treat their women well with I don't treat my wife well, and no one has said this. That's like me. That's like me saying um, Jacksonville, Florida has a high murder rate, and then someone going, "What? Because I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, I commit murders." Right? That would be a
Right.
very dumb thing to think.
Mm-hmm. Tora is the word says, "You all seem cool, but I don't feel engaged. I'm sorry if it's because of the way I spoke or something. Goodbye." Okay.
Okay.
I mean, just remember, it's not an airport. You can just go. It's all good. I'm trying to think, what the hell else did he bring? Oh, Issa, would you like to do that last part of your presentation. I'm very intrigued.
Issa?
Isa?
Yeah.
He's probably booty calling. He does that. I mean, he
We
does
only
it.
see his forehead at this point. Who knows what's going on over there?
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, he does it so much. We even have an emoji. So let's get some booty calls in the chat. Go ahead, Isa, if you're ready.
Yeah, what was the question? Sorry, I've been up since like 5 o'clock. Like, I was on the
No.
airplane. I was
Yeah,
on the
yeah, I
airplane
got you.
from early in
Do
the
you want to
morning.
do that last little part of your presentation?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Perfect.
I'm sorry though, guys. It's 2 a.m. for me and I have work tomorrow, so I have to go. But it was awesome chatting with y'all.
Pleasure.
Oh, it's always great having you, Dan, here.
Good
Thank
night,
you so
Dan.
much.
Good night, guys.
Take
Love you.
care. All right. I'll be right back. Issa, you have controls. You can put it on screen.
Sure. So this was the second part of my presentation. Hamas today, Harakat al-Muqawwama al-Islamiyya, tactics, and Tufan al-Aqsa, the Al-Aqsa flood. So my presentation is Hamas is not just a movement. It operates as an Islamist political militant organization that has governed Gaza since 2007. It was founded by Sheikh Ahmed Yassin. It is comprised of multiple coordinate wings, allowing it to function as a hybrid actor that blurs the boundaries between civilian governance and military operations, raising critical debates in the terrorism classification. So these are the three wings of Hamas. Izzuddin al-Qassam, this is the military wing that's responsible for the military operations like rocket attacks and suicide bombing and cross-border raids. The political wing, this is from the political bureau. It's represented by the Hamas political bureau that plays a vital role in governance negotiations and political media engagement, helping to shame Hamas's political legitimacy and public image. The social wing, or the Da'wah wing, focuses on social services such as charities and schools, following the Muslim Brotherhood model. That's the key point. This is a Muslim Brotherhood model. And then Tufan al-Aqsa, that's what we call October 7th, or the flooding of Al-Aqsa. Yeah, October 7th happened, and then there were folks that there was the reprisal to what happened. So the attack on October 7th, the goal was to take over Al-Aqsa, but a lot of the civilian population was targeted. So why is Tufan al-Aqsa reinforcing the terrorist designation? Civilian targeting, the deliberate targeting of civilians. Psychological warfare. They employed psychological warfare tactics. Rejection of distinction. They did not distinguish between combatants and civilians. Post-October 7th, the escalation of Tufan al-Aqsa led to expanded sanctions against Hamas, and ultimately Arab people in general have suffered greatly because of this attack. It's been very bad. Tufan al-Aqsa illustrates the culmination of Hamas's long-standing strategies and ideologies, emphasizing that such actions are not isolated incidents, but a part of a broader agenda. Conclusions and implications. Hamas's multifaceted structure as a hybrid actor poses critical challenges for international security and counterterrorism strategies. The recent escalation of violence underscores the urgent need of a comprehensive reassessment for existing policies to effectively address terrorism and its underlying causes. And these are the citations. Thank you very much.
All right. That is great. The two You had 3 presentations. The last 2, those had, in my opinion, in my almost uninformed opinion, the best arguments in of the whole debate.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
All right, Issa, you are so tired. We have a pretty busy week. I am debating on MDD on the 16th. That's Robin. I'm debating on MDD on the 15th with T-Jump, and then on Friday, Robin there is debating. Oh, sorry, there. Is debating someone on whether the U.S. was founded as a Christian nation or not. We are going to do after show for that because it's Friday. And
Can I talk about?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'll be debating Stephen Boland on the Proverbs Guys channel. I'm a mod over there and friends with them. It is a Christian channel. We are debating, was the United States founded on Christianity? It'll be on the Proverbs Guys channel. It'll be shown on there. Joe on Kentucky Atheist is going to mirror the stream because he didn't want the chats hooked up together. So he's going to be mirroring the stream. So you can watch it on either channel, but like if you go over there and give Proverbs Guys the views, that'd be good. And then I'm going to upload it later to my channel after it's over and stuff.
All
but
right.
I appreciate anybody comes by and watches it because I think that Christian nationalism is definitely a threat to the world, not just Americans, but the world.
All right. Tomorrow is Tuesday, so unless MDD puts something up tomorrow, I'm going to rest. The whole moving thing has me stressed out of my mind, and I rarely get stressed, which is annoying as hell because when I do get stressed, I don't know how to deal with it too much. I hate moving. I hate painting. I hate all of this. It's going to be for the best, but I fucking hate it. All righty, let's start with our final thoughts, and we'll be on our way. Yusuf, why would you waste your time watching a debate with people that don't actually have the knowledge of the Jewish people? What a waste of time. Look, we like debates, and we watch debates, and MDD does debates. Sometimes they're better, sometimes they're worse. Sometimes it's just complete abject stupidity. Sometimes it's interesting and you get thoughts and ponder positions that you hadn't pondered before. So I don't know, we love it. That's the way it is. Let's start with you, Dr. J. Final thoughts.
I thought as far as these debates go, it wasn't as bad. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I always like Issa. Obviously, he's one of my faves, and AP's good too. He knows lots of stuff. I don't mind him. Finding 2 people to pro Hamas it up was interesting. Kind of fun to hear someone actually take that. So yeah, I didn't mind it too much. I enjoyed it, and I thought Issa and AP did a good job, kind of providing their arguments. I think there could be someone on the other end who could be far more persuasive. That at least made. I don't think they should take the Hamas argument, but at least the Palestine versus Israel, and they could be a lot more convincing. It might be interesting, but yeah, overall, I thought it was good. I appreciate the effort that Issa and AP put in. I do appreciate the other team had a presentation, even if one guy just sort of read the other guys. At least they had one to share. So yeah, overall, it could have been a lot worse. So not bad.
It had some moment of complete unseriousness, but I mean, it went by and then it kind of settled back to. So it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was weird.
Yeah.
I mean, so weird that I had to take screenshots of it because we've never seen that. Yusuf says Judaism is the best. No, it's not. Judaism is true. No, it's not. And I've never found anyone who could argue against Jewish traditions. Well, I'm going to give you my email here. And if you want, you can debate me and we'll put that claim to the test. Or if you want, the first one is my email. The second one's my Discord. Robin, final thoughts.
Well, first of all, I was supposed to address that. I think it's funny that there's two more religions that have like come off of that of Judaism. So, like, yeah. I thought it was pretty good. It didn't turn out like I was afraid it would. You know, sometimes they get pretty rank in some of these debates. I thought it was pretty good. I don't understand defending Hamas. I don't. Even if you stand with the people in Gaza and you think that Israel is just killing them, you know, blatantly, which I don't. But I think that if you take that position, still defending Hamas doesn't. I don't understand that position. Because I don't think that Hamas cares any more about those people than those people think that the Jewish community cares about them. So, I think, we don't need a terrorist group leading any country actually, and
no, it's a different world. It's 2026. I think that diplomacy and peaceful resolution should be the thing that we strive for from here onwards, right?
Well, I think the Hamas, whatever suffering was happening in Gaza prior to October 7th, I think that Hamas only managed to intensify that times a million. So,
yeah,
they sure did nothing that benefited their people. Hopefully, they can get them out of there and figure out something to where those people can like have some sort of election and come up with some kind of their own rule, you know, some kind of self-governing without a terrorist group.
Mm-hmm.
But thank you, Max, for having me on, and I'll see you Friday. Please, everybody, come watch the debate. And hopefully,
I'll put the video up maybe tomorrow in the afternoon, and I will include the link to the actual debate on the after show, so our peeps know where to go. Yusuf says, you want to challenge me here? Go ahead. That's what I just did. You see that? That's my email first. And the next one is my Discord. And if you want to debate, we can debate. We can debate here. We can have either Dr. J or Issa moderate. So
this is my first formal debate, so I'm a little nervous.
Don't worry.
Even though I feel like my position is the only one that actually is defensible. So.
Oh yeah, the other position is just cope.
Yes.
All right, Issa, final thoughts.
Let's see. No. I'm here. I'm pretty blown out.
Yeah, I know. That's why we're leaving.
Let's see. I'll try not to slur. My final thoughts are, I think we did well. I think AP and I synergized well. Yep. I think we already have a good relationship from before we spent a lot of time together. I think that we knew what we needed to do. I agree with the other sentiments. I think he's a little more sensational than I am, but I understand a lot from his position. It makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of historical trauma that he's been through. And I also am a very strong advocate for freedom. So I believe people have different rights to express how they want to do things. So when people get so angry about ripping up scriptures and stuff, I'm like, I don't understand that. There were certain sections like the Islamic dilemma that I would love to go deeper into. I'm like, can these texts actually be corrupted if Islam is true? I think that there's a problem with that position, but that's something I was really fascinated down the pipeline of topics. Mm-hmm. But I think overall, our side was able to represent that Israel is a nation state, that it's a legitimate government, and that Hamas has countless problems to it. and it's not to be trusted. So I think I respect Jvnior. With Julian, I think he might need some help. I agree with that sentiment. So
Yeah.
those are my final thoughts.
Beelzebub says Islamic dilemma can be solved with the same logic as the Trinity. Don't know exactly what you mean by that, but you can beat the Islamic dilemma by not taking the position that it's corrupted. And when it comes to the Quran contradicting the Bible and the Gospel, my technique would be just say it's a supersessionalist position. The Bible does some of those things for some of the claims in the Old Testament. Mostly the law stands out to me. The Old Testament says you're meant to keep the law forever. The New Testament, Paul says that you're not supposed to keep the law. So there is a supersession there. And I don't see why the Quran couldn't be supersessionalist over the previous two scriptures. That gets you out of the problem completely. So, I don't see I like the Islamic dilemma from it's a strong argument. If you take the position that the previous scriptures are corrupted, it's a very strong argument to argue against, because it has it is a true dilemma. It's like, okay, if this happens, then Islam is false. If this other thing happens, then Islam is also false. And the only way you can avoid hitting yourself against that wall is like going through the side. But that is just my thought. I would love to talk to them about that and see what they think about my thoughts on it. Yusuf says that he calls that forfeiting. My guy, send the email. I'll put it again here. I'll copy paste it for you again, and we can set up a debate. Like, do you think I'm running? I'm not. We're not going to do it now because it's super late, and scheduled. I have work tomorrow in like 7 hours. So just email me, send me a Discord message, and we can set it up. It's all good. Let me see. I wanted to show a couple more messages. David says, Robin is awesome, and I believe she's the longest follower of the Aftershow. Yeah. Robin was one of the first people back.
Not many before her. I mean, I was there from the very start, and I don't remember her not being there. So.
Oh, I forgot. Today, well, actually yesterday, the 12th, is my 2nd year anniversary as a YouTube host. 2 years ago today, I was hosting my first after show, like in full. There was a debate. Ryan couldn't host the after show. Voldemort couldn't host the after show. Justin didn't feel like hosting the after show, and Justin sent me a message and said, like, hey, do you want to host the after show? I was like, yeah, for sure. And then I started. There was a little bit of intermittence since I started, and I became like the actual full host of the after shows. But yeah, this is 2 years. Oh my God, it's.
Hey, I want to see too if you remember that I just want to say I'm the one that brought Issa here the first time too that he came.
Yeah, I remember we did the first after show we ever did. There were a bunch of people hanging out all together in the hotel room, and I was here at home, and there were a couple of other people. But yeah, that's.
Because I was like, Issa, because I was friends with Issa, and I was like, oh, my friends are putting on this after show. Will you come? Yeah.
Yep. But 2 years, oh my. Let me do a toast with water. To each and every one of you, I love you all. The team, of course, it's I don't really say it like this, but I'm so blessed to have you guys as friends. I love you both, and I rarely say the word blessed like ever, but I it is some kind of for good fortune, luck, whatever it's whatever you believe. So cheers, everyone.
Cheers, Max.
For 20 more years. And before we go, make sure to do the social things: like, share, subscribe, send this to a friend, send this to your significant other, go to the corner, use the corner of your street, and just subscribe to Yerba Talks. And that way we can share the love for the channel. Thank you, everyone. Tomorrow probably won't have anything unless MDD puts out a debate last minute. But I have a debate on Thursday, I think. So Wednesday evening, we can probably do a little bit of debate prep. I will start getting my presentation ready and my arguments and so on. And I don't know if Issa or Dr. J are around and you want to help out with that. That would be awesome. If
Is
not,
this Sunday night
no, Wednesday night
this week?
this week.
Yeah,
Yes,
I might be able to stop by for a little while.
Perfect. Yes, Wednesday, that would be the 14th, and the debate is on the 15th. All right. David says, we need a waka waka emote. That's cool. That would be cool, yes. And someone said that the picture I took of Issa like that would make a great emoji. So I'll send it over to you. And you, all of the emojis, I've had some of the ideas, but David is I just tell him like, hey, I think we need this. And then David just does them. And the best emojis on the internet. So David, round of applause to you. All right. We're gone. Thank you, everyone. We'll catch you Wednesday. Take care. Have a great night. Love you. Bye.